What if I told you a man once crowned himself Emperor of the United States, and people actually went along with it? From wild proclamations to royal dinners on the house, this is the true, unbelievable story of Joshua Norton. Stay tuned. Our story begins in 1818, when Joshua Abraham Norton was born in England. Little Joshy wasn't born into royalty, but he had a knack for making big moves. His family eventually landed in South Africa, where young Joshua learned the ropes of business. But by 1849, the siren song of the California gold rush was calling. Norton packed his bags and headed to San Francisco, a city that even back then was as quirky as they come. Norton arrived at the height of the gold rush and wasted no time making his mark. He inherited a tidy sum of $40,000, equivalent to over $1 million today, and started dealing in real estate and commodities. The guy was on a roll, living the high life and rubbing elbows with San Francisco's elite. But then disaster struck. In 1852, Norton thought he'd found the deal of the century. A shipment of rice that he could resell for a huge profit. But when more rice flooded the market, prices plummeted and Norton's dreams along with his fortune were crushed. In just a few years he went from wealthy businessman to penniless outcast. Ouch. Now most folks in Norton's shoes would pack it up and call it quits. But not our guy. Joshua Norton decided that if the world wasn't going to crown him with success, he'd just crown himself. On September 17, 1859, Joshua marched into the offices of the San Francisco Bulletin and delivered a handwritten decree. It read, and I kid you not, at the peremptory request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Norton, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of the United States. And just like that, Emperor Norton I was born. He wasn't asking for permission, he was demanding loyalty. He even abolished Congress in his very first decree. Talk about starting strong. Now here's where the story takes a turn for the amazing. Instead of treating Norton like a crackpot, the people of San Francisco embraced him as their unofficial emperor. Norton strutted around the city wearing an elaborate uniform, complete with gold epaulets, a feathered hat and a cane. He looked every bit the part. Restaurants gave him free meals. Theaters saved him the best seats. And when his imperial uniform started looking a little shabby, the city chipped in to buy him a new one. And get this. Norton printed his own currency, and some local businesses actually accepted it as payment. Emperor bucks were a thing. As emperor, Norton issued dozens of proclamations. He demanded that a bridge be built connecting San Francisco to Oakland. Sound familiar? That's the Bay Bridge today. He also called for a League of Nations, decades before it became a reality. The guy was eccentric, but he was weirdly ahead of his time. Of course, not all of his decrees were winners. One time, he demanded that the army arrest a politician for using fraudulent tactics. Needless to say, the army politely declined. On January 8, 1880, Emperor Norton passed away on the streets of San Francisco. He was penniless, but the city mourned him like a true monarch. Over 10,000 people attended his funeral, one of the largest in the city's history. Today, Norton's legacy lives on. Locals continue to campaign for the Bay Bridge to be renamed in his honor. After all, it was his idea. And that's the wild, wonderful story of Emperor Norton I, the ruler who didn't need a kingdom to leave his mark. Thanks for watching. Remember, sometimes the best way to rule is to just be yourself.